Hey everybody, this is Steve. This particular module about building a house using Feng Shui can be very helpful to any real estate agent or even a person who just wants to build their own home. There are a lot of things that you might want to consider when you decide to build a home, whether it's a track home or it's done by somebody who's going to draw blueprints for you. In either case, you have a real big opportunity right now to make some big changes. So there's a lot of planning that should go into building a home. You just don't go into an office and say, yeah, just go ahead and build this one for me if you really want to follow Feng Shui. You know, when you build a house, you know, you're probably going to be there for a while. So you're going to have to live with some things that you may or may not really appreciate after a while. All right, so you want to give special attention to very specific items, and that's what we're going to go over in this particular module. Now, a lot of you are probably used to looking at plots or blueprints or whatever, but it's important for you to handle the house plan right now. You know, again, whether you hire an architect or not, okay? So if you're going to be working with somebody like that, okay, this is a good time for you to use your knowledge and to be able to put the rooms where you want to put them and make sure this particular situations are handled for you. Again, you have a rare opportunity at this time, and this time doesn't come again. So this is a great time to consider Feng Shui techniques. So each one of these items that I'm going to mention to you are all things that I would bring up to the person that is going to be working with you to put this house together. Now, it could be a new home agent on site that does track homes, but it could be, of course, an architect. So you want to place the master bedroom in the right part of the house. That is probably as pivotal as it gets inside. If you remember from some of the other modules, I had mentioned to you that there were two rooms that were pivotal, and those were the kitchen and the master bedroom. We're going to mention both of those and where the best locations are for those two particular rooms. We also mentioned earlier that, you know, bathrooms can be somewhat of a problem. So we're going to talk about that possibility also. So bathroom locations and where the plumbing is can have a lot of effect on things. So if you have your master bedroom in a particular location, you do want to take into account which wall you probably would like to put it up against. And you don't want to have plumbing in that particular wall. You can work on directions right now too. So, you know, again, whether you're just going into a subdivision where they're selling lots, you have the opportunity to pick direction for which way the house actually points. And that can be very helpful to you in a lot of ways. Some of them are Feng Shui reasons, but also just for your comfort. The Feng Shui is about making sure that you're very comfortable in your setting. You have a chance now to consider reducing some of the sharp edges that might show up. Again, the sharp edges are called poison arrows in Feng Shui. So there are methods that you can go about doing that. And let's continue on the next page here. We've mentioned earlier about the entrance and the walkway to you, okay? Both very pivotal to getting the energy into the house on an ongoing, consistent basis. And so, you know, we want to make sure it comes in under control. So you have a perfect opportunity to do that. Picking the lot is really important. It's right up there where the position of the master bedroom is. So the lot, you want to make sure it gives you some protection. Think of a classic armchair. Or at least that it has the potential for you to add landscaping to create that privacy and that protection. You want to choose an exterior and front door color very wisely. You know, we've talked about color psychology at this point. We've talked about making sure there's a contrast. how important that is. But very important for you to pick a good color for both the exterior and the front door. Now, interior colors you might be able to choose right now too. Again, it depends on what type of building process you're going to go through. Okay, if you're going through somebody that does track homes or homes that are already existing, they're not going to really be very willing to probably work with you too much. Maybe you might be able to get them to do the master, and that would be one room that I'd like you to consider asking about. Okay, so you have a chance also to have a say in the landscaping. Again, it depends on the situation and what you're paying for. The landscaping can be very pivotal, not only in the back, but also on the sides and in the front. So if you have a landscaping budget, this should help you also to what you're trying to accomplish. Make sure the lot is a regular shape. Okay. Again, this is something that we've mentioned earlier. And if you think about the lot that's on a cul-de-sac, most of those are pie shaped. In Feng Shui, that is not the best situation. You would rather have it to be more of a perfect square or a perfect rectangle. It holds the chi a lot better and gives you a chance to hold on to the chi a little longer. You want to look at the whole neighborhood, and I mean almost everything close by. If you have certain activities that are going on, on a consistent basis close to you, they can definitely hurt the comfort of you living there. Okay, even to the point of being an elementary school or a middle school next to you, even a high school. Not everybody wants all that yang activity that close. And so you might want to consider those things. Now, I know if you have young children, this might look like a big benefit right now, but it would be probably more beneficial to you if the school was closer to a mile away instead of a couple hundred yards. Also, things like, firehouses and police stations and cemeteries, none of those are things that you want. And of course, we've talked about transformers and all that kind of stuff. So you want to take all that into account, including the utilities in the ground. You don't want to be on a very busy road. You don't want a lot of traffic. You want peace and quiet. You want a home that's going to give you the chance to, again, restore your energy for the next day. If you're going to have a two-story home, you'll have a stairway. And the position of the stairway is important. Now, you do not want it directly behind the front door. So the plan that you pick, it would be to your benefit to make sure the stairway is off to the side or in the back. The type of flooring you use. You can get very specific with this too. Just remember this, if you use wood floors, which are beautiful, of course, they do move the energy a little faster. And that might be good, especially up front. You want to move it to the other parts of the house. If you have wall-to-wall carpet, though, you're going to slow it down, and it's going to be possibly not getting to where you want it to go. And so the type of flooring can be very, very important. The fastest type of flooring for moving energy would be something like marble, okay? A tile can move it pretty quickly too. So, just keep it in mind. It might be important for you to consider different types of flooring. Now, the lighting, again, this is an opportunity for you to work with them with their lighting package. So consider the types of lighting you're going to use. Try to stay away from really harsh fluorescent too much. But consider the lighting even at this point. Where am I going to put my bed in the master bedroom? Okay? What type of lighting do I want to have over top of it? What kind of chandelier do I want in the dining room? And what kind of, possibly, of the 5 elements do I want it to be in that chandelier? So, there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself about lighting. Make sure the front door is not hidden. You want to make sure that the energy, the chi, and your visitors can find the front door very easily. Even the address can be somewhat of a problem. If it has a street name that is somewhat negative, I would stay away from it, okay? And if you were Feng Shui savvy, you wouldn't have a lot of fours in the address number. Hire a good electrician and plumber. Now, if you're doing a tract home, you don't have much choice here. So having an inspection afterwards can be very beneficial to you to have somebody come in and check their work. The electrician and the plumber, they're actually doing a lot of the veins to the house, okay? And it's very important that these are all done well, and you don't want your electrical outlets and other areas to be hot and give off a lot of electrical magnetic fields. You certainly don't want any plumbing problems. So there's just some of the items, and we're going to try to talk about some of them in a little bit more depth now. So start by placing the bagua over your house model or your floor plan or your blueprints you're considering. It's the first thing you might want to do. And there are two really good places to have the master bedroom if it's going to be downstairs. Again, thinking of the bagua, the back left-hand corner is the wealth corner. That's a great place. It's also behind the midpoint of the house. Therefore, it's in the yin portion of the house. You want it away from the street. And the other good place, if it's on the first floor, is in the right-hand corner, which is the relationship corner or the marriage corner. That's as good as it gets. So back of the house, left corner, right corner are the best places to put it if it's downstairs. So master on the first floor. Again, lay the baga over top of it, and it gives you those two areas. Back left, back right. Now, if the master's on the second floor, try to get it in the back of the house for sure, for a lot of reasons. But one of them is, again, that it's got more privacy back there. You're away from the street. You have a greater opportunity of restoring your energy. You also want your secondary bedrooms to be further up towards the front of the house. In Feng Shui, it's important to have the master bedroom behind the secondary bedrooms as much as possible, because that shows sort of being more dominant, you might say, and therefore the people, let's say you have children, living in those other bedrooms will then therefore be a little bit more obedient. So a bedroom and the plumbing. I wanted to show these two pictures to you where the red arrows are. The one on the left, if we put the headboard right up there on that wall, can you see there's a lot of plumbing, a lot of water in the wall. Very, very bad place to put it. Not even taking into account the classic armchair. You can see the doorway to its right. So that would be a terrible place to put it. Some people might put it there. And again, there are two reasons not to. So you want to put it further away from the door as much as possible. But again, you don't want plumbing in the wall behind the headboard. If you look at the one on the right-hand side, you know, the bed is in a much more protected position. You can see the doorway a lot better, okay? So again, where that red arrow is, you can see that that's the wall right there that has plumbing in it. So stay away from doing that. And if you stay on top of this and look into the floor plans carefully, you'll already know where your bed is going to be in the master bedroom. Now, if you can, do it in the secondary too. They could become a little more difficult, but especially do it in the master. Now, if you have bathrooms in the middle of the house, that is something that you would prefer not to. Again, thinking of the bagua. If you lay it over the floor plan, what's in the middle? Well, it's your health area. And everything revolves around that. So everything affects the health situation, and the health situation affects all that. So you want to make sure that the bathroom is not located in the middle of the house as much as you can. Buying an existing home is a different story here. You might get stuck, especially with the idea of a powder room or a half bath there. Very common in the 80s and 90s, putting a half bath there. But when you're building a house, again, you can take care of these situations. So try not to put it there. Okay. There's never really a great place to put them, but that is the worst place to put the bathroom. Now, I've been telling people for years, clients that I've had, even before I got into Feng Shui, how important it is to make sure you know where the sun comes up and goes down. The comfort that you want to have in your house is real important for your happiness, okay, and even your success. You're going to be more productive because you're going to be more rested and more comfortable. So we're looking for year-round comfort here. And so it's important that you know direction. Whichever lot you pick, wherever that footprint of that house that you picked is going to be placed. You got to take a good close look at that. Ask yourself questions like, will I entertain in the evening? And if so, where's the sun going to be coming up or going down? Are you an early riser? If the sun comes up and wakes you up, that might be fine. But if you're not an early riser, possibly you want to have the sun in a different direction coming up. You want to also consider which rooms need to be cooler in the evening. Now, without a doubt, I think the bedrooms, you want them to be cooler in the evening. The optimal temperature for 85% of the human beings on this planet is 68 to 72. And so that's probably one of the better areas right there for you to set the temperature in a bedroom. Maybe even cooler if you like it that way. But getting warmer than that can quite often keep people awake. Pick the lot really carefully. And landscaping on the north side is sort of a feng shui kind of thing. Often when particular schools like directional schools laid the bagua over top of it, they didn't lay it over top with respect to the front door. They laid it over from north to south. So they always thought of the south being where the heat was, okay? And the north is where the colder weather was. So consider where the wind might come from. Consider the north side. Consider where that sun comes up. And I promise you it'll add a lot of benefits to you over the years. I would select arches and even the edges to be rounded if at all possible. Again, I understand if you're doing a house with a large subdivision, you may not have these choices. Excuse me. But in some floor plans, you do. And if you can get curved arches like this, it's beneficial in a lot of ways. It's more comforting for us. Okay. It moves the energy a lot easier. And a lot of builders are now, if you look at the bottom right-hand picture, a lot of builders now are even rounding corners off. Now, again, this is not probably going to be something that exists in every subdivision, but it might be something that you could ask about. So go with curved arches and rounded edges if you can. I've mentioned this probably to the point where you're tired of hearing it, but the lot is very, very important. And the top left-hand picture shows you a lot that does not hold the energy in very well. It's more of a pie shape. Okay, the one to its left is a little better. The one to its left is even better yet. So you want to try to get closer to a square or rectangle. The closer you get, the more it's going to hold the energy for you. If you look at the picture on the right, that sort of represents the perfect squared lot for me. And so Consider the lot real important. Importantly, if you can get trees behind it like you see in that picture down below, great. If not, you're going to have to consider strongly adding them later to create the mountain in the classic armchair setting. Placement of the kitchen. I told you I was going to mention this. And here the kitchen is in the back of the house in the middle. Not too bad. The best place for the kitchen would be actually in the health area of the baba. So you primarily want it more in the middle of the house or in the back of the house. Don't put the kitchen in the front of the house. You do not want to see a kitchen when you first walk in the door. You do not want to see a bathroom when you first walk in the front door, okay? So the best place, if you can do it, would be to put the kitchen in the middle of the house, in the center of the house. And if you can't do that, then keep it in the middle to the left or the right, or put it in the back, okay? Placement of the secondary bedrooms. Now, I already alluded to this a little bit. Make sure those bedrooms are further up towards the street from the master. You want the master as much as possible behind it. At least make it a neutral setting where the master bedroom and one of the secondary bedrooms is on the same plane. Okay? But where you put your secondary bedrooms is very important also. Not as important as the master bedroom, but it's very important. Now, you again would like to make sure that they're going to be as comfortable as possible. So the way you use landscaping and so forth is very important too. So in summary, please start by picking a good lot to build on. That is of paramount importance. Consider all of these points that I've mentioned about it. You know, the direction can be very, very important to you. And if you follow Feng Shui, and especially the compass schools, you know, you might want to even consider your auspicious directions. But I think comfort and protection are more important than whether or not I'm facing in a position that is more prosperous for me. Place the master bedroom in the back of the house and create your mountain. In other words, make sure you have a good solid wall that you've already figured out that you're going to put the headboard up against, okay, with no plumbing in it. Place the kitchen away from the front. Don't place the bathroom in the middle of the house. Watch the view from the front door inside and outside. I'm going to spend a little time on that one as we're almost done. But your view, if you're standing in the doorway, and looking out at the street, you need to make sure that you can see what is coming your way. We've mentioned this many times about the classic armchair, that you can see opportunity and visitors coming your way. But then let's turn around now and look into the house from the doorway. If you see nothing but a bank of windows straight ahead of you, okay, or a glass door that leads out to the patio, you're going to need to understand you're going to need to create some obstacles there. Now, if you don't have that view straight to the back, that's actually easier to work with. So consider that idea, whether you're standing in the doorway looking out or you're standing in the doorway looking in. At least consider the possibilities. And the last thing, plan your landscaping now. You know, you might want to put up trees on the north side, for example, that do not lose their leaves in the winter, therefore creating a cozier situation for your inhabitants, your family, okay? That is a real smart way to think if you use trees like that, landscaping like that, that doesn't lose their leaves, and therefore gives you a more comforting feeling. So plan it now. Start to think about color even in the beds up front, even though that might be further down your list. So this whole module is about doing it right from the start, okay? So important that if you're going to build a house, that you do it smartly. Remember this little saying that a lot of people have heard many times: measure twice and cut once when you're building your dream home. You might even want to measure or think about things more than twice before you pick a particular floor plan. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be talking to you real soon again. Bye bye.